everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Alexys Scott Studio Podcast. I'm your host, Alexys Scott, and this is episode 7, Generative AI, Replacement or Resource. Depending on your proximity to this type of technology, you may or may not have a strong feeling about it. You may like it, you may dislike it, or you may not quite understand it. And I totally get that. For me, it's a great resource to, increase productivity as well as, just to try new things. But if not managed ethically, it can be a problem for the creative community and others in general. There is a lot of criticism of AI online, and some of it is hilarious, and there is a good bit of it that has some concern with actual concern and evidence. For some context, generative AI models can take inputs such as text, image, audio, video, and code and generate new content into any of the modalities mentioned. So it's like when you see someone ask an AI program, show me a picture of an elephant skateboarding, and then the image just pops up. That's what generative AI is. So, is it a replacement or a resource? Common uses are generating content like images and videos, or writing assistants, like I said before, text to speech solutions, product design and development, personalized user experiences, healthcare solutions, and gaming solutions, to name a few more. According to a study done by Pew Research Center last month, 52% of Americans are more concerned than excited about AI in daily life. The article also says that despite these cautious overall views, Americans see some specific uses of AI positively, and attitudes depend a great deal on the context of how and why AI is being used. I think I agree with the people in this poll that say it depends on the scenario. There are some opportunities for it to go wrong or be misused in a way that can cause harm. I've seen a lot of comparisons to iRobot or other. The robots are starting a revolution. They're killing everybody. Your toaster is like sentient type movies. And I honestly had to go and watch iRobot because I've never seen it all the way through from start to finish. Like, I've only seen that random gif of like the robots like standing all together and Will Smith's character is like running through them or whatever. So I had to do a little bit of research and see what was the direct connection that people are seeing from AI to iRobot. There are a few big concerns that I have. One is how this technology can be used to misinform or persuade people to believe in or act in a certain way. I'm talking about those realistic deep fakes being shared and spreading across the internet to kind of misinform and confuse people or cause people to believe in a certain thing or act in a certain way that can be harmful to others. This misinformation can cause serious harm to marginalized communities and more. There is technology out there, after some of my Googles, that is meant to detect deep fakes, but that seems so reactive to me. So in my mind, it's like there should be something that is proactive, proactive measures taken to stop the problem at the root. Secondly, how does this affect the creative world? How does AI, generative AI specifically, affect the creative world? So, of course, I asked ChatGPT and I wanted to see what it would respond to my question, which was how, let me read it specifically. How will generative AI affect the art world? And so this is the response. And I think it's a really good response, personally. Generative AI has the potential to significantly impact the art world in various ways, both in terms of the creation and appreciation of art. Here are a few ways that they specifically called out, and I feel like I had to share. Artistic collaboration. Generative AI can enable artists to collaborate with algorithms to create unique and novel pieces of art. Automated art generation. Some AI models can autonomously generate art, which could lead to the creation of entirely new art forms and art styles that aren't limited to traditional human creativity. I felt like that one was a little spicy because it was like, we don't have the same limitations y'all do, so we're able to think differently or do certain things that humans can't. And I feel like that right there is one example of why people are so afraid or concerned about how it's going to affect their livelihood, their work, and how they, create income for themselves. The next one says customization and personalization. The next one says customization and personalization. Generative AI can personalize or tailor art to individual preferences, allowing the art to resonate with specific audiences. That I think is really cool because, when you're trying to create something and you're trying to cater to a certain group of people, you may not know how to specifically do that. Um, Maybe because you're not a part of the community, or maybe because you just aren't sure how your art form can connect with these types of people. But I think that that's cool because you can kind of ask it questions, or like think of you can kind of like ask it questions, or figure out ways to create certain images, and that could be really interesting, but it also could be detrimental in a way. I guess it just depends. um, and then it says challenges and questions of authorship. The use of generative AI in art raises questions about authorship and ownership. If an AI algorithm contributes significantly to the creative process, who should be considered the author of the artwork? This has legal and ethical implications that the art world will need to address. And I think this is the biggest part, right? Where people are seeing themselves as artists and creators, who are waking up with the inspiration and the motivation, to create certain things, right? It's like this natural talent, whether you've gone to school for it or you just are a self taught artist, and you create something, and then to have like a robot come behind you and be able to create it in a matter of seconds when you may have spent hours or days or weeks doing something. I think that's the biggest question, right? And so the other question that is wrapped up in that last point is, you know who is the author? Who is the creator if you're using these different AI models to generate certain things? At what level does it become like a shared, creation? Are you the creator if you didn't make it? Or is the AI the creator? Like, I've seen people type in certain things into these different AI models and come out with beautiful images. I follow this one guy and he does these amazing images. But the question is, since you wouldn't be able to create that without the, you know, software that you're using, are you the creator? But then it's like, well, the software wouldn't have created it without him or her or whoever typing it in to request that. So it's just like one of those, like, what do people call it? One of those really serious problems. And it's like, well, a wicked problem. That's the word I'm looking for. It's one of those wicked problems where it's like, this is not necessarily something that you can be prepared for, or something that maybe you think of when you wake up in the morning. But when it is directly affecting you as a person who creates, physical and digital art, and you're putting your time and your effort into it, and then a software can come around, and I mean, you type a question into ChatGPT, and within seconds it's giving you a page. If you're a writer, if you're a painter, a photographer, or a digital artist, or whatever your art form or your creative form could be, how do you kind of balance who is the author, who is the creator, if you're using one of these softwares? Um, so I feel like the program hit really important points, and um, I really enjoy the inclusion of the last point, because it could have just given me like the really good parts in the beginning of, like, oh, it's collaborative. It can, come up with new art styles. But then it also gave me the challenge. It gave me the question that I feel like as a human, you have to be willing to think about and try to answer and figure out on your own. And so it's really intuitive in that way. And I know for me, every inquiry that I've put into one of these kind of bots, it gives you that same kind of like full circle answer, versus just spitting out something that makes the AI look good, or kind of just answers your question. So, I engage with the technology as a resource. I think that it increases productivity, and it's a great opportunity to learn more and, think outside of the box. But what do you think? Is generative AI a replacement, or is it a resource, and something that we just have to safeguard maybe in the future? So, that is all the time that we have for today. As always, thank you for listening, liking, subscribing, and coming back and just enjoying this podcast with me. And I hope to see you back again for episode 8. Please remember to follow me, follow the studio, follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at alexysscott.studio. You are amazing, and it makes me extremely happy to share these episodes and encourage you to be your most and best creative self. Until next time.